In the middle of the 22nd century, humanity had expanded across multiple star systems, maintaining peace and pursuing scientific research. Earth's system and its space outposts operated normally, with the Earth Planetary Alliance, EPA, focusing on interplanetary cooperation. Captain Elena Torres of the research vessel USS Aegis gazed through the observation deck's reinforced glass panels at the vast emptiness of space. Kepler 186f loomed in the distance, its red-tinged atmosphere reflecting the dim light of its parent star. As a former Earth Air Force colonel who had transitioned to space science after a political defeat, Elena found solace in the cosmos. Her ambition to find the first evidence of intelligent extraterrestrial life to strengthen the EPA's position drove her relentlessly. "Captain, you might want to see this." Dr. Arjun Rao's voice crackled through the intercom. His excitement was palpable, even through the static. Elena sighed, stealing one last glance at the distant planet before making her way to the science lab. As the doors slid open, she found Arjun hunched over a holographic display, his dark eyes wide with excitement. As the ship's xenobiologist specializing in relationships between human and potential alien civilizations, he'd spent years analyzing signals from deep space. "What is it, Arjun?" Elena asked, approaching the workstation. "I've detected an unusual sequence of radar signals while studying Kepler 186f's magnetic field." Arjun explained, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "They're artificial, Elena, not random. They're being generated by an unidentified spacecraft." Elena's heart raced. "Are you certain?" "Beyond doubt," Arjun confirmed, his voice trembling with excitement. "This could be the first contact we've been searching for, the culmination of humanity's greatest journey." Ensign Maya Reed, the young security officer with Special Forces training in protecting Earth from extraterrestrial threats, stepped forward from her position near the door. Her military posture remained rigid, even after months aboard a research vessel. "Have they responded to standard greeting protocols?" Maya asked, her voice carefully neutral, despite the tension evident in her stance. Arjun shook his head. "That's what concerns me. The vessel is heading toward Earth at incredible velocity, but they're not broadcasting any greeting signals. It's as if they don't care whether we know they're coming." Elena frowned. "How fast are they moving?" "Faster than anything in our fleet," Arjun admitted. "They'll reach Earth within days if they maintain their current trajectory." Elena's scientific curiosity battled with her military training. "Route the signal to EPA Coordination Center immediately. Flag it Priority 1. Maya stepped closer, her eyes fixed on the trajectory projection. "Captain, I recommend we treat this as a potential threat until proven otherwise." Before Elena could respond, the communication officer's voice filled the room. "Captain Torres, incoming transmission from Earth. It's the EPA president." The holographic display shifted, revealing the stern face of President Markov. His expression was grim, his usual diplomatic smile nowhere to be seen. "Captain Torres, we're facing an unprecedented situation," Markov stated without preamble. 15 unidentified vessels have entered Earth orbit. They match no known configuration in our database." Elena exchanged alarmed glances with Arjun and Maya. "Mr. President, we've just detected signals from what appears to be another alien craft heading toward Earth." "Then you've confirmed our worst fears," Markov replied, his voice dropping. "These vessels appeared without warning and have not responded to any communication attempts." As if on cue, the transmission began to deteriorate, static cutting through the president's words. "They're jamming our long-range communications," Maya said, moving to the tactical console. "Standard interference pattern, but with power levels we've never encountered." The president's image flickered. "Defensive measures. Immediate return to Earth. Operation Red Dawn." The transmission cut out entirely. "Communications are down across all channels," the communications officer reported, frantically working his console. All links to Earth and other colonies have been severed. What's Operation Red Dawn? Arjun asked, looking between Elena and Maya. Elena's expression darkened. A contingency plan for potential alien invasion. All available military vessels are to converge to defend Earth. Maya accessed the emergency tactical display. Captain, we're receiving fragmented distress signals from multiple Earth orbital stations. The International Space Station and lunar outposts are reporting direct attacks. The tactical display showed red warning indicators blooming across Earth's orbital facilities. One by one, the signals winked out. They're being destroyed, Elena whispered, watching as decades of human achievement in space were obliterated in minutes. Arjun stared in horror at the data stream. But why? We've done nothing to provoke this. Sometimes existence itself is provocation enough, Maya replied grimly, her fingers flying across the console as she attempted to establish any kind of communication with Earth's defense forces. The fragmentary transmissions painted a horrifying picture. Major cities, New York, Beijing, London, were being bombarded from orbit. Energy weapons of unprecedented power tore through Earth's atmosphere, vaporizing everything they touched. Tens of millions dead in the first hour alone. We need to return to Earth immediately, Elena ordered, her scientist persona giving way to the military commander she once was. Captain, Maya interrupted. Incoming encrypted transmission on the military emergency channel. The message was brief, but clear. All remaining EPA vessels were to implement Operation Red Dawn, gather every operational combat vessel to defend what remained of Earth. The USS Aegis, despite being a research vessel, was equipped with defensive capabilities that would be needed in the fight ahead. As they altered course toward Earth, more fragmented transmissions revealed that the EPA had convened an emergency strategic council. General Arthur Wilkins, commander of the planetary forces, and Dr. Helena Novak, a biological warfare specialist, were leading discussions on potential countermeasures. This isn't right, Arjun argued, as they gathered in the ship's conference room. We should be attempting communication, understanding their motives. This could be a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Maya's voice was sharp with barely contained fury. They destroyed our orbital stations without warning and are bombarding civilian populations. What part of that seems like a misunderstanding to you? We don't know why they're attacking, Arjun persisted. There might be a reason, something we've done unknowingly that they perceive as a threat. Elena studied the tactical readouts, her mind racing through scenarios. Arjun, I respect your commitment to peaceful resolution, but the immediate priority has to be stopping the attack and saving lives. By responding with more violence? Arjun challenged. How does that make us different from them? The difference, Maya said coldly, is that we didn't strike first. The argument was interrupted by another transmission, this one from General Wilkins himself. Captain Torres, the general began, his face haggard from what had clearly been hours of crisis management. How soon can you reach the Tycho research station? Approximately 18 hours at maximum speed, sir, Elena replied. Make it 12, Wilkins ordered. Dr. Novak has developed a potential countermeasure, but we need your expertise to deploy it. What kind of countermeasure? Arjun asked, stepping into view of the transmission. Wilkins' expression hardened. That's classified. Dr. Rao, you'll be briefed upon arrival. The general's image flickered as another attack struck somewhere on Earth. The situation is deteriorating rapidly. The invaders have deployed magnetic field satellites that are triggering massive electromagnetic storms around Earth. Our planetary defense systems are failing. We'll get there, General, Elena promised. After the transmission ended, Arjun turned to Elena. I don't like this. Classified countermeasures usually mean something extreme. We're facing extinction, Arjun, Elena replied, her voice tight. Extreme circumstances call for extreme measures. There must be another way, Arjun insisted. Let me analyze the invaders' communication patterns. Maybe I can find a way to establish contact. Elena hesitated, then nodded. Do it, but understand that we're still proceeding to Tycho Station. As Arjun left to begin his work, Maya approached Elena. He's naive, she said quietly. These invaders didn't come to talk. Maybe, Elena conceded, but his perspective is valuable. We need to consider all options. Maya's expression darkened. I had family in London, Captain. Elena understood immediately. Maya's internal conflict between her former belief in peaceful missions and the hatred born from witnessing her family's destruction was evident in every line of her body. I'm sorry, Maya, Elena said softly. Don't be sorry, Maya replied, her voice hard. Be ready to do whatever it takes to stop them. The journey to Tycho Station was tense, filled with fragmented reports of Earth's continuing destruction. By the time they arrived, nearly a third of Earth's major cities had been reduced to smoking craters, and millions more had perished. The station itself was a fortress embedded in the lunar surface, originally designed for deep space research, but converted to military purposes as tensions with other colonies had risen decades earlier. Now, it served as one of the last bastions of Earth's defense. They were met by Dr. Helena Novak, a tall woman with prematurely gray hair and eyes that had seen too much horror in too short a time. Captain Torres, follow me, she instructed without preamble. Your security officer, too. Dr. Rao's presence has been specifically requested by General Wilkins. She led them through a series of increasingly secure checkpoints until they reached a laboratory deep within the lunar rock. General Wilkins was waiting, surrounded by holographic displays showing Earth's deteriorating situation. The Dark Night Bell Protocol has been authorized, Wilkins announced, as soon as the doors sealed behind them. Elena felt her blood run cold. Sir, that protocol was theoretical, never meant to be implemented. So was alien invasion, Wilkins replied grimly. Yet here we are. Dr. Novak stepped forward. We've developed a biological agent called Nemesis 9. It's designed to target the invaders' biochemistry, which we've analyzed from debris recovered from destroyed ships. A biological weapon, Arjun's voice was horrified. You're proposing genocide. I'm proposing survival, Novak countered sharply. The invaders have already committed genocide against us. This is our only chance. How does it work? Elena asked, forcing herself to focus on the technical aspects rather than the moral implications. It's an engineered pathogen that attacks their respiratory and nervous systems, Novak explained. It's airborne, highly contagious, and specifically designed not to affect human biology. And you're certain it won't mutate to affect humans? Elena pressed. As certain as we can be given the time constraints, Novak admitted. We've built in genetic safeguards, but nothing is guaranteed. This is madness, Arjun protested. We're talking about exterminating an entire species without even attempting communication. We tried communication, Wilkins snapped. They responded with annihilation. Not enough, Arjun insisted. I've been analyzing their signal patterns. There's a structure there, a potential language. Give me time to decipher it. We don't have time, Wilkins replied coldly. Every hour we delay, millions more die. And if we do this, what does that make us? Arjun demanded. Survivors, Maya interjected. It makes us survivors. The debate continued for hours, growing increasingly heated as reports of new attacks filtered in. Meanwhile, Dr. Novak walked Elena through the deployment procedure for Nemesis 9. We'll need to load the pathogen into specialized warheads, Novak explained. Your ship's science officer has the expertise we need for the final synthesis step. Elena studied the schematics, her military training taking over. And the delivery method? That's where it gets complicated, Novak admitted. We need to breach their ship's environmental systems. Conventional weapons haven't been effective against their shields. So we pair Nemesis 9 with nuclear detonations, Wilkins interjected. The EMPs will temporarily disrupt their shields, allowing the pathogen to penetrate their hulls. Elena stared at the general in shock. You're talking about nuclear launches from Earth? The fallout alone would— Not from Earth, Wilkins interrupted. From deep ocean platforms. The water will absorb most of the radiation. Most, but not all, Elena pointed out. It's a price we have to pay, Wilkins said firmly. We've already lost 500 million people. Captain, how many more are you willing to sacrifice on the altar of moral purity? Before Elena could respond, Arjun burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. I've found something, he announced. In the debris from one of the destroyed invader ships, there was a data storage device that survived. I've managed to extract some information. What kind of information? Wilkins demanded. A message, I think, Arjun replied, projecting the translated text onto the main display. It says, "We come to protect the galactic biosphere from the human threat." The room fell silent as they absorbed this. They fear us? Elena asked incredulously. They attack us because they're afraid we might attack them, Arjun explained, his voice urgent. It's a preemptive strike based on fear, not aggression for its own sake. That changes nothing, Wilkins said dismissively. Their motivation is irrelevant. The result is the same. They're trying to exterminate us. But it changes everything, Arjun insisted. If we understand their fear, we can address it. We can communicate, negotiate. While they continue to bomb our cities, Maya asked bitterly, how many more have to die while you try to make friends with our executioners? Elena stood at the center of the storm, the weight of decision pressing down on her. As a former negotiator with other civilizations, she had always believed in dialogue. But now, with Earth burning and billions at risk, that belief wavered. If we let them penetrate deeper into the solar system, we lose everything, she said slowly. Every human life, every achievement, every hope for the future, gone. And if we become the monsters they fear we are, Arjun challenged. What then? Maya stepped forward, her face set in grim determination. We need to make sure they never come back. We need to send a message to any others who might consider attacking Earth. The decision fell to Elena. As the ranking officer with both military and scientific expertise, her recommendation would carry immense weight. She closed her eyes, seeing the faces of those she had known on Earth, imagining the terror of those still alive, hiding from orbital bombardment. Prepare Nemesis 9 for deployment, she ordered, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. And ready the nuclear launch platforms. Arjun's face fell, disappointment and betrayal evident in his eyes. Elena, please. I'm sorry, Arjun, she said quietly. But I can't gamble with humanity's survival. Not when the stakes are this high. The next 12 hours were a blur of frantic activity. Dr. Novak supervised the final synthesis of Nemesis 9, while Elena coordinated with the remaining Earth Defense Forces. Maya helped organize the evacuation of civilians from coastal areas near the planned nuclear launches. Arjun withdrew into himself, continuing his analysis of the invaders' communications, but no longer arguing against the plan. His silence was more damning than any words could have been. As the moment of truth approached, Elena found herself on the command deck of the Tycho station, her finger hovering over the launch authorization panel. Maya stood beside her, a silent pillar of support and resolve. Are you certain? Elena asked softly, not looking at her companion. If we hesitate, they win, Maya replied. We need to be sure they never return. With a deep breath, Elena pressed her palm to the authorization scanner. The system recognized her biometrics, and the countdown began. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, specially designed platforms activated. Missiles carrying both Nemesis 9 and nuclear warheads launched silently through the water, rising into the atmosphere before igniting their main engines. The invaders detected the launch and attempted to intercept, but the sheer number of missiles overwhelmed their defenses. Nuclear detonations bloomed in Earth's orbit, temporarily disrupting the alien ship's shields and propulsion systems. In that moment of vulnerability, the Nemesis 9 warheads detonated, releasing clouds of engineered pathogens that infiltrated the damaged vessels. Within minutes, reports came in of invader ships drifting, their crews incapacitated by the rapidly spreading disease. But the counterattack didn't stop there. Additional nuclear-tipped missiles targeted the invaders' planet beyond human orbital territory, flooding their atmosphere with hydrogen bombs and plasma weapons, decimating their fleet almost entirely. The immediate consequences were devastating. Earth suffered severe gravitational fluctuations from the nuclear detonations, and despite the containment measures, traces of Nemesis 9 escaped into Earth's atmosphere. The upgraded filtration systems protected most survivors, but they now faced biological contamination and severe medical shortages. The galaxy around them recorded what would later be called the eternal light, the reflection of weapons creating a dark halo in Earth's sky, visible from distant stars as a warning. In the aftermath, Dr. Arjun and emergency medical teams entered the quarantine zones to develop an antidote for Nemesis 9 and heal radiation sickness. The EPA government mobilized all available medical and technical resources for disaster recovery. Security teams led by Maya protected evacuation ships, transporting the population to temporary space stations, establishing a safety belt around Earth to limit migration spread. Elena made public the data recovered from the invaders' crew remains, proving they had indeed deified Earth as an important breeding point in the universe. The explanation denied intentions of human extermination, but emphasized their expansionist attitude and divine authority stance toward humans. Arjun's final conflict emerged when he publicly denounced the genocide policy, demanding transparency and peace with small, surviving groups of invaders, possibly prisoners or civilian dissidents not infected with Nemesis 9. Maya opposed him, accusing, "History will condemn you for killing hundreds of millions." Facing pressure from the vast majority of citizens, the EPA Council declared, "We will not accept diplomacy with those who committed genocide." However, a clause was included. If there are definitive signs from the invaders, possibly from the final surviving group, we will negotiate. As Earth rebuilt, Elena became the ambassador of peace transparency, continuing the campaign for scientific integration and weapons deterrence monitoring. Arjun led a biomedical group to comprehensively restore Earth's ecosystem. Maya became commander of the Galactic Guardian Force, ready to prevent the next threat. In the final moment of reflection, Elena stood at the Eternal Light Memorial on the Moon, where the ocean explosion light was reflected, looking toward the star-filled sky, wondering, "We protected Earth, but was the price too high? Will the universe allow us to survive, or have we become the nightmare?" The dawn of the 22nd century had seen humanity reach for the stars with hope and curiosity. Now, barely halfway through that same century, they had learned the harshest lesson the cosmos could teach, that sometimes survival comes at the cost of one's soul. Elena Torres stood on the observation deck of the USS Aegis, watching the stars with new eyes. No longer did they represent opportunity and discovery. Now, they held potential threats, civilizations that might one day seek vengeance for what humanity had done. The ship had been refitted, transformed from a vessel of exploration to one of war. Its sleek lines now interrupted by weapon emplacements, its science labs converted to tactical command centers. It was a metaphor for humanity itself, forced to evolve, to harden, to prepare for a universe that had proven itself hostile. "Captain," Maya's voice came from behind her. "The perimeter sweep is complete. No unusual activity detected." Elena nodded without turning. "Thank you, Commander." Maya had been promoted in the aftermath. Her unwavering resolve during humanity's darkest hour recognized, and rewarded. She now commanded the ship's security forces, with the same efficiency she'd shown during the crisis. "Any word from Dr. Rao?" Elena asked, finally turning to face her second-in-command. A shadow passed across Maya's face. "Still refusing direct communication. He sends his reports through intermediaries." The rift between Arjun and the military establishment had only widened in the months following what was now called the First Contact War. His public denunciation of the Nemesis 9 deployment had made him a pariah in some circles, a hero in others. The truth, as always, was more complicated than either side acknowledged. "He'll come around," Elena said, though she didn't believe it. Some wounds were too deep to heal, some actions too profound to forgive. "Will he?" Maya asked, her tone suggesting she didn't believe it either. Dr. Rao made his choice, Captain. As did we all. Elena turned back to the stars. "Yes, we did." The choices had been impossible, the consequences unimaginable. Yet they had made them, carried them out, lived with the results. Humanity had survived, but at what cost? Reports from Earth were mixed. The immediate crisis had passed, but the long-term effects of both the invasion and humanity's response were still unfolding. Coastal regions affected by the nuclear launches remained uninhabitable. Pockets of Nemesis 9 contamination persisted despite the best efforts of decontamination teams. And the psychological trauma, the collective PTSD of a species that had faced extinction, manifested in ways both predictable and surprising. Militarization had accelerated across all colonies. Research priorities had shifted from exploration to defense. The bright, optimistic future that had seemed so certain before the invasion now seemed naive. A child's fantasy shattered by harsh reality. "Captain!" The communications officer's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Incoming transmission from General Wilkins. Priority 1. Elena exchanged a glance with Maya before responding. "Route it to my private terminal. I'll take it there." In her quarters, Elena activated the secure channel. Wilkins appeared on the screen, his face even more lined than she remembered, his eyes harder. "Captain Torres," he began without preamble. "We've detected anomalous readings at the edge of the Kepler system. Similar signatures to the invader vessels, but smaller." Elena felt her heart rate increase. "A second wave?" "Unlikely," Wilkins replied. "Our analysts believe it may be a scout or possibly a civilian craft. Either way, I want the Aegis to investigate." "Understood, General," Elena said, her mind already racing through tactical scenarios. "Any specific orders regarding engagement?" Wilkins' expression grew grimmer. "The EPA Council has been clear. No chances. If you confirm it's one of theirs, you are authorized to use all necessary force." "And if they attempt to communicate?" Elena asked, thinking of Arjun and his unheeded warnings. "That would be your call, Captain," Wilkins said after a pause. "But remember what's at stake. We can't risk another invasion." After the transmission ended, Elena sat in silence, considering the implications. They were being sent to potentially execute survivors of a species they had nearly exterminated. The irony was not lost on her. She pressed the intercom. "Maya, set course for the Kepler system, maximum speed, and contact Dr. Rao. Tell him his expertise is required." "Captain." Maya's surprise was evident even through the intercom. "If there are survivors attempting contact, we need someone who understands their communication patterns," Elena explained. "Besides, maybe it's time we all faced what we did." The journey to the Kepler system took 3 days, during which Elena found herself increasingly restless. Sleep eluded her, her dreams haunted by images of burning cities and dying worlds. Not just Earth. She now dreamed of the invaders' home, imagined their final moments as humanity's retaliatory strike hit. Were there children there? Innocents who had no part in the decision to attack Earth? Questions that had no answers, yet refused to remain unasked. Arjun joined them on the second day, transported via shuttle from the research outpost where he'd been working. He looked thinner than Elena remembered, his eyes shadowed with the same fatigue that plagued her own. Their reunion was awkward, formal. The easy camaraderie they had once shared had been another casualty of the war. "Thank you for coming," Elena said as they stood in her ready room. "I didn't have much choice," Arjun replied, his tone neutral. "The EPA Council made it clear that my continued funding depends on my cooperation." Elena winced internally, but kept her expression professional. "Your expertise could be crucial if we encounter survivors." "Survivors of our genocide, you mean," Arjun said bluntly. "Our survival," Maya corrected, entering the room with a data pad. "The long-range scans are complete. Captain, we've identified the anomaly, a small vessel, approximately 1/5 the size of the invasion crafts. It's currently in orbit around Kepler 186f. "Life signs?" Elena asked. "Indeterminate at this range," Maya replied. "We'll know more when we enter the system." "If there are survivors," Arjun interjected. "What are your orders? Captain, finish the job?" The challenge in his voice was unmistakable. Elena met his gaze steadily. "My orders are to assess the threat and respond accordingly," she said carefully. "If there's an opportunity for communication, we'll take it." Arjun's expression suggested he didn't believe her, but he nodded. "Then I'll prepare the communication protocols we developed, based on their signal patterns." As he left, Maya moved closer to Elena. "You don't seriously intend to negotiate with them, do you? After everything they did?" Elena sighed, feeling the weight of command more heavily than ever. "I intend to make an informed decision when the time comes. That's all I can promise." Maya's expression hardened. "They slaughtered millions. Captain, my family, countless others. Some things can't be forgiven." "This isn't about forgiveness," Elena replied. "It's about who we are, who we choose to be going forward. Do we want to be remembered as the species that exterminated another out of fear and vengeance? Better that than being remembered as the species that became extinct because they weren't willing to do what was necessary." Maya countered. The argument was interrupted by the tactical alert. They had entered the Kepler system. On the bridge, tension was palpable as they approached Kepler 186f. The alien vessel came into visual range, a sleek, silver craft that bore the same design elements as the invasion fleet, but lacked their imposing weapons arrays. "No signs of weapon activation," the tactical officer reported. "They appear to be running on minimal power." "Life signs?" Elena asked. "Confirmed," came the reply. "Approximately 12 individuals, based on the biochemical signatures." "They've detected us," Maya warned. "Power levels increasing." Elena made her decision. "Open a channel using Dr. Rao's communication protocols. Let's see if they respond." The bridge fell silent as the message was transmitted. For long moments, there was no response. Then, unexpectedly, the view screen flickered to life. The being that appeared was humanoid but clearly alien. Elongated features, skin with a faint blue tinge, eyes larger than human norm. It spoke, the sounds unintelligible but with a clear pattern. "The translation algorithm is processing," Arjun reported, excitement breaking through his reserve. "We're receiving a coherent response." Words began to appear beneath the alien's image, a rough translation of its speech. "Survivors of the harmonious theocracy. We seek understanding of the extinction event. We carry no weapons. We mean no harm." Elena exchanged glances with Arjun and Maya, the implications sinking in. These weren't military personnel. They were researchers, perhaps, or civilians who had escaped the genocide. "Ask them why their fleet attacked Earth," Elena instructed. Arjun transmitted the question. The alien's response came quickly. The High Conclave determined that human expansion represented an existential threat to the cosmic order. The sacred texts prophesied that unchecked human growth would destabilize the galactic consciousness. The purification was deemed necessary. Religious zealots, Maya muttered. They killed millions because of some prophecy. Ask if they were aware of the attack before it happened. Elena directed, ignoring Maya's comment. The alien's next response was revealing. This vessel was on a research mission when the purification began. We received the notification but were too distant to participate. When we learned of the human counterstrike and the deployment of the Death Mist, we went into hiding. Death Mist, Arjun translated. They're referring to Nemesis 9. Elena nodded, processing this new information. Ask them what they want now. The alien's answer was unexpected. We seek asylum. Our leaders were wrong to attack without communication. We do not share the High Conclave's interpretation of the sacred texts. We believe coexistence is possible. The bridge erupted in murmured conversations, opinions flying back and forth. Elena raised a hand for silence. This is unprecedented, she said quietly. We need to consult with the EPA Council. Captain, Maya objected. They're part of the civilization that nearly wiped us out. We can't trust them. There are 12 individuals on a research vessel, Arjun countered. Hardly a threat to our existence. The same was said about the first ships we detected, Maya shot back. Until they obliterated half our planet. Elena considered both perspectives, weighing the military caution against the humanitarian concern. We'll maintain position and continue communication while I consult with command. Maya, keep weapons locked, but do not fire unless I give the order. Arjun, see what more you can learn about their culture and intentions. In her private quarters, Elena's conversation with General Wilkins was predictably tense. Asylum, Wilkins repeated incredulously. They expect us to welcome them with open arms after what they did? They claim to be dissidents. General, Elena explained, opposed to the military action taken against Earth. Convenient, Wilkins scoffed. Now that they're on the losing side. Perhaps, Elena conceded. But this could be an opportunity to understand their civilization better, to prevent future conflicts. The EPA Council will never agree to this, Wilkins said firmly. The public would revolt if we brought members of that species to Earth or any human colony. Elena had anticipated this response. What if we established a neutral research outpost? A place where they could live under observation, where we could learn from each other without endangering either population? Wilkins was silent for a long moment. I'll present your proposal to the Council, but don't expect a favorable response. In the meantime, maintain your position and monitor that vessel closely. If they make any aggressive move, you are authorized to destroy them. After the transmission ended, Elena returned to the bridge to find Arjun engaged in deep conversation with the alien representatives. Captain, he greeted her, his earlier coldness tempered by intellectual excitement. I've learned more about their society. It's fascinating. A theocratic structure, but with democratic elements at the local level. The decision to attack Earth was made by a small religious elite without consulting the broader population. Convenient excuse, Maya muttered from her station. Elena ignored the comment. What else have you learned? They call themselves the Harmonious Theocracy, but this group refers to themselves as the Dissonant Truth, essentially religious reformers. Arjun explained. They believe the High Conclave misinterpreted their sacred texts, which speak of communion with other species, not purification. Religious schism, Elena noted. Something we're familiar with in human history. Exactly, Arjun agreed. They've been monitoring Earth since the attack, watching how we rebuild. They were surprised by our resilience. And they're only now approaching us? Maya interjected skeptically. After months of watching? They were afraid, Arjun explained simply. Wouldn't you be, after witnessing what Nemesis 9 did to your species? The question hung in the air, uncomfortable in its implications. Before anyone could respond, the The tactical officer called out an alert. Captain, we're detecting a spatial distortion. Something's coming through. Multiple signatures, similar to the invader fleet. Elena's blood ran cold. Battle stations, shields up! The view screen shifted to show space itself, seeming to fold, disgorging 3 vessels that matched the design of the original invasion fleet. They've detected us, the tactical officer reported. They're powering weapons. Red alert, Elena ordered. Charge all weapon systems. Maya, target their propulsion and weapons arrays. The research vessel is hailing us, the communications officer announced. On screen, Elena commanded. The alien researcher appeared, visibly agitated. Human vessel. We did not summon them. The High Conclave must have detected our transmissions. They are here to destroy us as heretics, and you as enemies. Convenient timing, Maya commented darkly. Why would they destroy their own people? Elena demanded. Our dissent is punishable by death, the alien explained. We rejected the sacred interpretation. In their eyes, we are no longer of the harmony. Before Elena could respond, the lead invader vessel fired, the energy beam narrowly missing the Aegis as the helmsman executed an evasive maneuver. Return fire, Elena ordered. Target their weapon systems only. The Aegis's enhanced weaponry lashed out, striking the lead vessel's primary weapon emplacements. The ship shuddered, but remained operational. The research vessel is powering engines, the tactical officer reported. They're attempting to flee. One of the invader vessels is pursuing, Maya added. The other 2 are focusing on us. Elena made a split-second decision. Intercept the vessel pursuing the researchers. We can't let them be destroyed before we get answers. The Aegis surged forward, positioning itself between the fleeing research vessel and its pursuer. The maneuver caught the invader off guard, allowing the Aegis to land a direct hit on its propulsion system. The disabled vessel is venting atmosphere, the tactical officer reported. Their life support is failing. The other 2 are coming around for another attack run, Maya warned. Elena's mind raced through tactical options. Execute pattern Delta 9. We need to keep them separated. The Aegis dove beneath one attacker while firing at the other, forcing them to adjust their approach. It was a temporary advantage at best. The invader vessels outmatched the Aegis in both firepower and shielding. Captain, Arjun called from his station. The research vessel is transmitting data, massive amounts of it. Star charts, cultural information, biological data, everything about their civilization. Why would they? Elena began, then understood. They don't expect to survive. They're giving us everything they know in case they're destroyed. Captain, our shields are down to 60%, the tactical officer warned. We can't sustain this level of engagement. Elena made another decision. Arjun, contact the research vessel. Tell them to transmit the frequency of the invader's shield modulation, if they know it. Arjun worked frantically, then looked up with surprise. They're sending it now, along with tactical weaknesses in the vessel's design. They're betraying their own people, Maya said, sounding both impressed and suspicious. Recalibrate weapons to exploit these weaknesses, Elena ordered. Fire as soon as you have a lock. The Aegis's next volley struck with devastating precision, piercing the lead invader's shields and disabling its primary systems. The second vessel, seeing its companion crippled, altered course away from the battle. They're retreating, Maya reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from her voice. The research vessel is hailing us again, the communications officer announced. The alien researcher appeared, looking both relieved and sorrowful. We thank you for your intervention, Captain Torres. By your actions, you have demonstrated that coexistence may indeed be possible. You betrayed your own kind, Elena observed. Why? The High Conclave betrayed the true meaning of our teachings. The alien replied. They are not our kind any longer. We seek a different path, one that does not lead to mutual destruction. Elena nodded slowly. The EPA Council is considering your request for asylum. Until they decide, you will remain under our protection. After the transmission ended, Maya approached Elena privately. You realize this changes nothing about what they did to Earth? No, Elena agreed. It doesn't erase the past, but it might help shape the future. A future where we trust the species that nearly exterminated us? Maya asked incredulously. A future where we make decisions based on knowledge rather than fear, Elena corrected. Isn't that what separates us from them? From what they became? Maya had no immediate answer to that. 3 days later, the EPA Council reached its decision. Elena received the transmission in her ready room, with Arjun and Maya present as her senior advisors. President Markov's expression was grave as he delivered the verdict. After extensive deliberation, the Council has authorized the establishment of a research outpost in the Proxima Centauri system. The survivors will be permitted to live there under observation, with limited contact with human researchers approved by the EPA Security Council. It was more than Elena had expected, and less than Arjun had hoped for. A compromise that satisfied no one completely, but offered a path forward. There is one condition, Markov continued. The survivors must provide all information they possess about their civilization's military capabilities, remaining outposts, and any potential threats to human security. Understood, Mr. President, Elena acknowledged. I believe they'll comply. After the transmission ended, Arjun turned to Elena. It's a start, he said quietly. Not forgiveness, but a step beyond vengeance. Will it be enough? Elena wondered aloud. For now, it has to be, Maya answered unexpectedly. We've all paid too high a price to waste this opportunity. It was the closest thing to approval Maya had expressed since the encounter began, and Elena recognized the significance of the concession. As the Aegis escorted the research vessel toward the designated coordinates, Elena found herself once again on the observation deck, watching the stars. They still held threats, still harbored potential enemies, but perhaps they also contained possibilities for understanding, for growth beyond the cycle of fear and retaliation. The universe had taught humanity a harsh lesson. Survival often came at a terrible cost. But perhaps the greater lesson was still being learned, that survival alone was not enough. How they survived, what they preserved of themselves in the process, would ultimately define what humanity became. As Earth rebuilt and a fragile connection formed with the survivors of a nearly exterminated foe, Elena Torres stood at the crossroads of humanity's future, knowing that the choices made now would echo across generations. They had protected Earth, but the price had been steep. Whether the universe would allow them to survive, or whether they had indeed become the nightmare they had fought against, remained to be seen. The answer, she suspected, lay not in the stars, but in the hearts and minds of those who looked up at them, in their capacity for both righteous fury and profound mercy, for devastating violence and remarkable compassion, in their humanity, with all its terrible flaws and breathtaking potential. They had struck Earth first. Humans had made sure they would never attack again. But what came next? That was the question that would define a species and perhaps a galaxy. And as the Aegis continued its journey through the vast darkness of space, that question remained unanswered, a challenge to all who would follow.